So a big challenge in North Melbourne this weekend?
Yeah, no, it should be a great game. Clearly they're undefeated and a percentage of 200, so their form line's pretty strong. But yeah, it should be a great game. We're looking forward to it. Yeah, obviously they're pretty balanced. I think both sides actually. Around the ball, they've got some really great midfielders. Clearly, Emma King's a really strong target from down forward, and Duffin in the back half's been really influential in the first few games as well. So quite balanced, and therefore you have to be good in all areas. But usually these games will swing on the contest. Who's better at the contest, both at stoppage and then ahead and behind the ball. So that's the starting point for most games.
What are your thoughts on the conference system, given that in a tough conference, if you're in a different conference, perhaps you wouldn't? Yeah,
I mean everyone, we all knew the setup at the start of the season, and ultimately the teams that end up in will deserve to be in. If we're good enough, we'll be in the top two, and we'll make it through to the finals. If we're not good enough, we'll be watching from the sidelines. So, I think let's wait and see come round 7 where it all sits.
You saw,
I was just going to say, you're not starting to do the maths yet on that?
No real value. We could, but I haven't got a lot of time in my hands, so I'll spend it otherwise, I think. But there's no real need. Ultimately, if we're good enough, we win enough games, we'll make it through.
Can you speak a bit more on that midfield battle? I'm sure the North coach is saying the exact same thing that you're saying. That's one. Can you speak a bit, because that's where your stars are, and that's obviously where their stars are.
No, I disagree with it slightly. I think both teams are balanced. I think that's what will make it such a great game, is that it's not purely about the midfield battle. For mine, it's ahead of the ball they're really strong, and behind the ball they're really strong. So I think the contest, when I said contest, I was referencing both ends of the ground and the midfield. So I think I'm sure that North will win their share of stoppage, and so will we, and therefore those next contests become the critical ones. So we respect because they've got talent everywhere, but equally we back ourselves in.
Do you think Foley King is going to be a key matchup then?
Yeah, so King's probably done most of her damage as a key forward. Her ruck, obviously, she's got amazing ruck skill as well, but they've been using her on balance probably more forward than in the ruck. So so Gillespie Jones is their ruck a fair bit of the time, and she's been pretty good for them as well. So all of those will have a good contest.
We saw Stevie Lee change position. She's killing it. Same with Danielle. Is there anyone else this week?
The backs are getting a bit grumpy because we keep stealing them. But no, ultimately, right from get-go we sort of talked about the flexibility of the group, and at times, it could well be that Danielle ends up down back or Stevie. But at the moment they've both had an impact as forwards, and they'll probably start there this week.
How are you going to cover Craney this weekend?
Yeah, so that's the disappointment out of the weekend. Obviously, it looks like it's a couple of weeks, hopefully only 2, maybe 3. In a 7-week season, that's fairly challenging, but we're confident we'll get her back at some point. So essentially she's a bit similar to a few of our players in that she started in the back half and then also spent some time through the midfield and forward. So it's a significant gap to cover, but once again, due to that little bit of flexibility, we do have a few options in terms of mid forward. Chloe Shear obviously comes back from suspension, so her last game was really strong, and that gives us a bit of cover, but there will be a little bit of shuffling because Courtney obviously could play back as well.
How are you finding your time as a dual coach? How are you enjoying it?
Yeah, no, it's been really good. Both programs are really well run, and that enables me to seamlessly slide between the two, which is great. Really important for our club to have a strong men's program and a really strong women's program, and I'm the lucky one. I get to be in both, so it's good.
Personal development as a coach, do you feel like you're getting better as the women's coach, or it's helping with the men's stuff?
I wouldn't draw that link, but I know I'm enjoying both, so that's good.
I've got a bit of a broad question, but what's the main difference between coaching boys and girls?
Yeah, I've used this line a few times, but it's time and money. Semi-pro versus pro, that's the main difference. We have to modify our schedule and our structure and our system around the fact that everyone else has got a job, or all the players, I should say. Even I've got a job. But that's the main difference. Clearly, the stages of the development of the game, women's games, we acknowledge that we're in a development phase. It's 3 years in, and so therefore there's lots of things that we can get better at. But in terms of their attitude, their application, they're 100%. They're flat out. So there's no issue on that front. It's just getting them here after work instead of during work time.
What's surprised you coaching the girls from perspective of how they train or how they juggle things?
No real surprises. I'd watched them. I'd seen it up, relatively close and personal over the last couple of years, so I knew they were a really committed and dedicated group. So in terms of surprises, no great surprises. It's been really enjoyable and pleasing to work with them, but no, nothing major.
What can you tell us about selection this week?
Yeah, essentially it's 1-for-1, Cramey for Shear.
Sticking with the same emergencies?
The emergencies will change based on wanting to get games into players and also some acknowledgement of the AFLW form. So there's a couple of slight shifts there, but ultimately the 21 will be 1-for-1.
Yeah, the handful that you're talking about there, is that Perkins?
Yeah, so Sarah played a really strong game, kicked 3 goals 4, often competing against 2 or 3 defenders. Obviously they recognised that she was going to be an issue for them, and they defended her accordingly. So really happy with how she went. We spoke about her contest stuff, and because they put 3 players on her, that allowed her to work on her contest stuff, which was great. But she'll continue to do that. The team that played against Fremantle, pretty strong performance, and keen to reward that.
That means sound like Sarah's getting close to them?
Absolutely, no, she's well in contention, and as I said, working on the things that we've asked her to. Similarly, Rhiannon Lugg, she will be the travelling emergency. She's gone back, worked really hard, really high end work rate. Maisie Nankerville, who's missed a couple with initially a little concussive episode, she's right, she's ready to go. Caitlin Rosenberg hasn't had a chance, but is training well, and Nikki Gore's probably been almost our most consistent trainer and form wine, and yet hasn't been able to get in. So I'm really keen to hopefully get her in before the end of the season, because she's done everything right, and she's going to be a really important player, not just this year but long term. So we want to see her at some stage.
It was a pretty good performance against Fremantle last weekend, but are there any areas of the game that you'll be looking to improve this week? One stat I noticed.
All right, you tell me. Yeah.
I know you don't like stats. I love them. Is that Fremantle almost doubled your amount of tackles last weekend?
Yeah. So there's a little bit of game style. Ultimately, one stat that we do have a little look at every now and then is the combination of tackles and ground ball, which essentially means you're either winning it, or if you're not winning it, are you tackling? And so when you put the two together out of that last game, then it was a pretty even battle, which is kind of reflective in the game up until the last quarter. So it was a really good contest last week. We had our hands on the ball a little bit more, but their tackle pressure was really good. So try not to look at those ones in isolation. We'll try to. Yeah, the contest, as we've already highlighted, is critical. But I think our defence can still come up a notch or two. I think we're defending well. Not talking about our defenders. I'm talking about collectively. I think we're defending well, but I think we've got a little bit of improvement still in that space.
About the boys this week, are there any young lads that might get a run that you're excited to see?
Well, I'm sure they'll name a team and then we'll have a look.
Expecting a team this afternoon, we expect at least a couple of the new boys.
Yeah, you'd imagine so.
Who's impressed you that you quite like?
Yeah, well, I think all of the young guys that have come in have been outstanding for the group in terms of their work rate. They've brought great energy. So the challenge is that we've got a pretty healthy list, and so therefore, whether the opportunity comes this week or in coming weeks, we'll wait and see. But certainly, on what I've seen, there's reason for our supporter group to be excited about what's coming, if not immediately, then in the not too distant future.
Do you think that the Don Clarke and the selectors will treat the JLT like they have in past, where you maybe try a few blokes in JLT1 and then go full strength JLT2, or do you guys go hard from the start?
I don't know, mate. You'll have to wait till they release the team. But there'll be a strong team. Both teams will pick strong teams. There's only 2 games, so it'll be a pretty strong team, I reckon.
Anne Hatchard, has she just been your surprise packet this year, or you've been expecting this form from her?
No, she's one that's clearly taken her game to a whole new level, and basically on the back of an amazing off-season where she just got herself ridiculously fit, and therefore we've been able to play her more as a midfielder than in previous years. She's either been forward or back, and that position has suited her really well. So, but all credit to her in terms of the way she came back and the work she's put in. So, yeah, she's been really significant player for us, really consistent across the 4 games, and yeah, hopefully she can keep it going.